Hey there, fellow patriots. Welcome back to another episode. We've got some pretty interesting information to go over. A topic that really it saddens my heart, to be quite honest with you. Ever since I was a teenager, I think, I mean, ever since I was a teenager, I've always been an American. I've always considered myself obviously an American, right? But my patriotism really connected, I think, in 1995 when my father took me to Peru for the first time as a teenager, as someone who could think and process things, right? Not as a little child. I went for my grandparents' 50th anniversary, and as soon as the plane touched down, I felt like I was in a different world, and I saw the extreme level of poverty. I mean, if the poverty level in our countries here, in a country like Peru, it was like way underneath. And just to give you guys some examples. I mean, we may see homeless people in major cities, stuff like that, right? Panhandling, sleeping out in the park. One thing we don't see are homeless children. We have orphanages for those, right? But over there, I mean, the minute you get down off the plane and you hit the very first street light, you'll see little kids, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, all throughout that range, either begging for money, trying to sell candy to make money, and so on and so forth. So I think at that point, it really kicked into me what it meant to be an American. And from that day forward, I've been an absolute patriot. So it really saddens me to see where my country is going in the decline. And it's undeniable, right? At this juncture, the level of decline that our society is going through is undeniable. The stupidity has increased, right, year over year. And it just seems to continue to get louder, get bigger. From openly practicing racism towards white people, and trying to justify that open racism, all while celebrating Martin Luther King's legacy. I mean, that's lunacy, right? Talk about a complete contradiction. To campaigning for an actual defund the police movement, right, and supporting criminal activities. I mean, these are just some of the examples to show the massive intellectual decline that our society is in. Now, a lot of people are going to speculate and try and find out why. What's the cause of it? I mean, people are going to have their own theories. Could it be due to technology? Let's be real. A lot of people are on social media. They have a voice. The things that I see there, I just scratch my head. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'll give you guys a good example. There's this local health shop in my area. It's called Grain and Berry. Love the product. Love going there, having their acai bowls. And normally what I get is this acai bowl filled with like yogurt, granola bar, or granola, excuse me, and strawberries, blueberries, and banana, right? And so they give that to you in a bowl. So I went one day as normal, went to go get it, and I don't see it. I don't see what it's specifically called, the way that one is made. And so I asked the young lady for that specific product, and the young lady goes, "Oh yes, we don't make that anymore. It's discontinued. But you can go ahead and make anything you want." So I look at the very first thing. It was like a fresh start or something like that it was called. And it basically had everything that the previous thing that I wanted had, minus the yogurt. So I asked her, well, can I have the fresh start with yogurt? And she goes, oh yeah, I can do that for you. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, why didn't you, I mean, if you knew what I was looking for, why didn't you put one and one together and just say, hey, we don't have that. However, I do have this and I can add that for you. But I mean, again, it could be technology. It could be our educational system. Right, our grades are just abysmal. We continue to fall lower and lower on the world scale as far as intelligence and education. Let's be real. The Asians, specifically the Chinese, are just spanking us when it comes to education. Right? Could it be something else? Could it be a lack of God? A lot of people have made the argument that ever since we took prayer out of school, and we've become more secular and less faith-filled, the decline of society is very easily noticeable. And I can't argue with that, to be honest with you, because comparing how our society is now to how it was when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, it's like night and day. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone half the time. I should say all the time, to be honest with you. And I don't like it. I don't like it because it doesn't make sense. I'm a very logical person. I need things to make sense to me. I'm going to ask you guys, how does it make sense to remove people like Aunt Jemima and the native Indian girl from the Land O'Lakes butter product, and keep the Quaker Oats guy, oh, and also remove Uncle Ben from Uncle Ben's Rice, and keep the Quaker Oats guy and say that you're fighting racism? That doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't you want to promote those people and take out the white guy? I just don't get it. Is anybody else getting it? Because I really don't. But perhaps it's something else. Perhaps it's a combination of all those things and more, right? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you, but maybe I do want to show you some of these videos, and I know these videos are going to leave you in shock because they left me in shock. But let's get into the first one.
Today, more than 2 billion people use a social media app called TikTok. Many of them are young people under the age of 24. If you had kids, you probably know already how TikTok works. TikTok lets users upload short videos. Usually they're under 30 seconds. What's interesting is that the content of these videos varies a lot depending upon what country you're in. If you're in China, where TikTok is headquartered, you tend to get more educational content. But if you live in this country, you get an awful lot of filth and propaganda tailored for kids. We're not guessing about this. We ran an experiment to prove it last summer. Watch. The TikTok that Chinese residents, children in China, get to see is very different from the one your kids are looking at here. Now, in China, where TikTok is known under a different name, videos like these are very common. Watch.
Legends never die. They become a part of you.
You know what American kids, your kids, are watching on TikTok? Stuff like this. Well, that's kind of weird. Can you see what's going on here? Well, China does. They run TikTok, and China knows if you want a productive society that extends beyond, say, next week, you teach your kids about hard work and creativity and personal responsibility, respect for authority. But if you want to destroy a society, you funnel a ton of garbage to kids about gender ideology and twerking.
It's unbelievable to see that, to be quite honest with you. Thankfully, none of my children have TikTok. I don't have TikTok. My wife doesn't have TikTok. I disagree with that type of stuff. I understand that there's freedom and all that stuff, and I get that, but I do believe that TikTok is being used to spy on us. So that's a major concern. However, it's undeniable based on what we just finished seeing that what content is being showed to different countries, and it's being done on purpose. It's really I mean, it's undeniable. The decline in our country, the level of intelligence, not just our society as far as moral values is on decline, but the intelligence level. Here's what I mean. Let me show you this right here. There's a couple of folks that go around asking people just basic questions that you should have learned probably in elementary school. And Mark Dice is one of those people. I'm not going to show his stuff because, I mean, his site is chock full of that stuff. But there's two folks here that I recently come across, and I think they really display display something really good here. So let me go ahead and bring up the first one.
What is the capital of the United States?
You know what?
The capital of the United States? Madison.
What year did America gain its independence?
Oh, come on. It's not 1942, because that would be Christopher Columbus.
Who did America gain its independence from?
Christopher Columbus.
What major document was signed at the Constitutional Convention?
Declaration of Independence.
In what city did American colonists throw tea into the harbor to protest?
What city? Oh. It's England, right?
Where was the Vietnam War fought?
John, please.
I'm in history class.
What happened during World War II? Big, terrible event.
The Boston Tea Party.
Name 4 of America's founding fathers.
Oh, George Washington. Thomas Edison.
What president freed the slaves?
John.
You have to answer this one.
Oh my God. Do you know what time this is?
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 2:45.
Yes. Do you know what 77 plus 23 is?
All right, the next show's in 2 days.
Around what number? Give me a number.
I'm trying to think. It's like, I don't know. 121.
Yes. Nice. What do we call a shape with 5 sides?
Is it an octagon? Wait, that's 6. That's 8. Octagon is 8. Is it a stop sign?
Yes. Do you know what 15% of 100 is? Around what it is, if you had to guess.
Probably like 75. I don't know.
Yes. Nice. Do you know what 77 plus 23 is?
You know, can't do simple math, my guy. That's the one thing that I'm gonna fail on.
Take a guess, like your best guess. Like around how much is that?
Around 115-ish? 7? 105?
Give me one final guess.
I just don't want to take too long to think about it. 105.
Yes. Do you know what the 4 directions on a compass are?
No, sir.
If you had to guess.
Left, right, up, down.
Yeah. Do you know what year it was 22 years ago?
22 years ago.
Yeah, around what year was it?
I don't know, bro.
Give me your best guess. Around what year?
22 years ago.
Gotta do some mental math real quick.
Trying. Honestly, bro, I don't even know.
Give me a guess.
I'm 22.
Around what year?
I don't know. Was it like the 19 something? I don't know.
19 what?
In the 90s, maybe?
Yes, nice.
Mind you, this was shot about 7 months ago, which would have put us in 2022. You subtract 22 years going backward, it would have been the year 2000. But, you know, again, it's this type of stuff that just drives me nuts, because this is simple stuff. This isn't like rocket science, right? Again, is it a decline in our educational system? Is it the distraction from technology? I don't know. Is it maybe lack of parenting at home, right? Because I imagine that parents are not sitting with any of these individuals, or have not sat with any of these individuals and done homework with them, right? How did these people graduate, if they graduated at all? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, clearly in one of those cases, they're a bunch of college students. How are they passing? Maybe they're focused on their specific major. That could be, but I mean, these are basic things that you should have learned way back then, and maybe they forgot about it, and so on and so forth. You know, when you look at, for instance, the simple question of where's our capital, Washington D.C., that should have been unanimous. Everybody. I mean, I learned that, gosh, I think in the 3rd grade. But it is what it is. Now, let me propose this question to you guys there in the audience. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I just want to throw this question out. Is this all being done on purpose? And then by who? I don't know. But when we look at, for example, the fact that the current puppet in chief in the office, in the White House, got more votes than Barack Obama, it's easily acceptable when you are intellectually challenged. Does that make sense? Like you know, regardless of whether you like Obama or not, because I really don't like him. However, the truth is truth. The guy was a good speaker. He was eloquent. He had charisma, right?
Because if we are willing to work for it and fight for it and believe in it, then I am absolutely certain that generations from now, we will be able to look back and tell our children that this was the moment when we began to provide care for the sick and good jobs to the jobless. This was the moment when the rise of the oceans began to slow and our planet began to heal.
Which is how he galvanized the Democratic Party. I mean, he had a lot of good qualities about him as far as the way he can communicate and express himself and so on and so forth. When you look at him and compare it to Biden.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
It's like night and day. How can you expect me to believe that Biden got more votes than Obama? Is it because of the hatred towards Trump? I mean, that's a good argument. But here's how dumb this guy is, and people are still buying it. There's got to be a connection here between the educational decline or the cognitive decline of our society mixed in with where we're at today. So let's check this out real quick.
Good evening, and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'm Will Kane in for Tucker, and it's a big day. It's a big day for the Irish. And the President of the United States would like to wish all of you a happy St. Patrick's, you know, the thing. Joe Biden loves St. Patrick's Day because he's told us for decades he's Irish. He's even in the Irish American Hall of Fame. His Secret Service code name is Celtic. That's how Irish he is. And Joe Biden's proud of that. Here he was today with the Irish Prime Minister.
Every St. Patrick's Day, every Irishman goes out to find another Irishman to make a speech to. Well, that's why I'm here. I, like all of you, take pride in my Irish ancestry. And as long as I can remember, it's been sort of part of my soul, how I've been raised.
He takes pride in his ancestry, but he did go on to joke that he's not really Irish because, well, he's sober and his family isn't in jail. At least not yet. Because get it? The Irish drink and they get arrested a lot. Watch.
I'd been to Ireland many times, but not to actually look up to find my actual family members. And there were so many, and they actually weren't in jail. They were all, but all kidding aside, I met the Blewitts and the Finnegans and all of the folks who we were related to. I'm the only Irishman you ever met, though, that's never had a drink, so I'm okay. I'm really not Irish.
Well, watching all this, you have to wonder how Joe Biden's countrymen in the Puerto Rican community are thinking tonight. For years, Joe Biden has told us that Puerto Ricans raised him. And yet, here he is giving all the credit to the Irish. They probably feel pretty slighted in Puerto Rico. Or maybe they're relieved. Either way, the facts of Joe Biden's biography are getting harder and harder to pin down. You see, it's not just the Puerto Ricans who are being airbrushed away. What about all the Poles? I mean, the Greeks, who played key roles in Joe Biden's upbringing. See, when it's not St. Patrick's Day, Joe Biden talks about them a lot.
You know, I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community in Claremont, Delaware. I also want to acknowledge someone else who means a great deal to our family. Rabbi Michael Beals of the congregation Beth Shalom in Wilmington, Delaware. That's where I received my education. I probably went to shul more than many of you did. You all think I'm kidding. We have a very, in relative terms, large Puerto Rican population in Delaware. I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home. I got my education for real in the black church. And that's not hyperbole, it's a fact. I'm an honorary Greek, not only today, Not only today, but every day.
Black, Puerto Rican, Greek, Pole, Italian, Jewish, Puerto Rican. I think I said that one twice. We're just going to have to take Joe's word for it because it's Friday, and it's also kind of funny to imagine this Benetton of an upbringing if it were true, even though it's clearly not true.
So there you have it, folks. I mean, look, when you put all of that pandering to different types of groups, right? The Puerto Ricans, the Jews, the Greeks, right? The Irish, etc., the blacks. It's like, I don't understand how somebody can listen to that and just be like, oh, that's normal, right? And maybe they're not looking for it. Maybe they're not. But if they do and they ignore it, I wonder if there's a connection between, again, the decline, right, of our society is allowing that stuff to happen, right? Is that why we're here at this particular moment now? Is this part of the plan, right, where the left can just lie about everything and anything, and the majority of America is going to buy it because they don't have the mental capacity to logically think, analyze, comprehend, do these types of assessments, right? They just kind of take it at face value. I don't know. It appears that way. But here's one thing that's undeniably true is that let me rephrase that. I think there's something that really goes hand in hand with the decline, right? Because if you don't have the mental capacity, right, or the intelligence to see things for what they are, then you're easily manipulated. And there has been an anti-American movement that has happened, over the last, decade. I've covered this before. After 9/11 in 2001, after that attack happened, I saw such unity in our country, to the likes of which I had never seen before. I had only read about them in our history books. And to see that, and now to see where we're at, in my opinion, in my view, due to the poisoning of Barack Obama and injecting all of this anti-American hatred, all of this racism that he stoked into our society, and to see where we're at now in a divided way that we're in, these people that are not able to see and analyze this thing, right? They're easily duped. They're easily manipulated. And so if they're easily duped and easily manipulated, is it easier to present a falsehood, this hatred towards America, which is very evident? I mean, you had people burning the flag. You had a moron who would kneel, a moron who makes millions from playing a sport that I would have loved to have played, takes a knee, not because of some justice. He took a knee because he was benched. Let's be real and let's be honest with it. But because you had morons that would defend him and made excuses for him, right? They all bought into the movement, right? And so here's the funny part. This country's so bad that guy still lives here, refuses to move. Everybody that hates America is still here. They refuse to move. Wow, we have people that were talking about, I'm going to move to Canada. They didn't move to Mexico. They didn't even say they were going to move to Mexico. They said they were going to move to Canada. Gee, I wonder why. And then they didn't move, right? So let's take a look here and see if we can find some type of a connection.
Well, we begin with a new and disheartening poll on the direction of where our country is headed and what they reveal about the core values that have defined us as a country for generations. New Wall Street Journal polls showing patriotism, religious faith, having children, and hard work have declined in importance to Americans. Check this out. Patriotism plummeted over the last 25 years. Back in 1998, 70% of those surveyed ranked it as being very important to them. Now, just 38% feel that way. More than 60% said religion was very important to them in 1998. Today, well, it's less than 40%. And family values like having children also have dropped sharply. In 1998, 59% of Americans believed having children was very important. Now, just 30% do. The polls are not entirely surprising. We have seen the deterioration of America's core values right before our very eyes. You don't have to look far. From the distortion of the American flag as a symbol of patriotism into one of oppression. And while the kneeling for our national anthem on one football field, well, that was applauded pretty widely, the kneeling of a Christian high school football coach, Coach Kennedy, in prayer on another football field, that got him fired. It took the Supreme Court to right that wrong. Meanwhile, children are being taught that America is systemically, racist. And for those of you without kids, well, the left says don't have them for the sake of the planet. The polls just reaffirm what we've been witnessing for decades, the decline of American values that have helped define the national character of our country.
So, Kelly McEnany showing a report on the decline of a number of things: patriotism, church attendance, right, family values, and all of that is just adding on to the decline of our society, right? And how far is it going to go? Where is this leading to? It's a little bit troubling and scary, right? Because I don't know what the effects of this is. Let's put it that way. I don't know how big the reach of these folks have, but the problem here is that you've got a lot of people in high influential and powerful places that are also influencing this movement, and if they have reach, they can reach more people, right? Now here's what's interesting. Gallup poll, right, took this survey back in 2020, and it showed that for the first time in U.S. history, the attendance of church membership declined down to 47%. Now, you might think that, well, that was because of the pandemic, right? It shut down, people didn't want to go. I'm not 100% sure if this excludes that or not, but I do recall, and I couldn't find it, but I do recall seen a video at the beginning of this year that still shows church attendance below 50%. Excuse me.
Well, a new study suggests Americans are rapidly losing faith.
Christians are projected to make up as little as 35% of the American population by 2070, and it could be less than 50% by 2045, as millions become agnostic, atheist, or unaffiliated.
And so, it's reaffirmation of what's going on, right? It's reaffirmation of the decline of values because there is no God. We have a number of things happening: school shootings, robbery, murders, etc., etc. A lot of that, not all of it, a lot of that I think is based because God is not even present in someone's life, right? So I have a friend of mine, his name's Adam Francisco, so shout out to Adam. He was down in Tampa, Ybor City. There was a Pride event going on there, and he managed to interview a number of different people, but the first two group of ladies that he managed to interview, they said something that was very, very intriguing, and it supports what we're talking about here. So I'm going to play this for you guys, and I want to see what you guys think.
Always, God bless Trump. Where are you from?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Did you come here just for the Pride Parade?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So my question is, have you heard of the Don't Say Gay bill?
Yes.
By Ron DeSantis down here in Florida? Did you hear that he's expanding it into 12th grade?
Yes.
So it's going to be kindergarten through 12th?
It's disgusting.
What are your thoughts?
It's disgusting.
Do you think kids should learn about sexuality and gender?
Disgusting. It's not that they need to learn about it, but it shouldn't be illegal for them to talk about it if it's in their family dynamics. It makes absolutely no sense for them to not be able to talk about, hey, I have two dads, I have two moms. It's a normal thing, so there's really nothing to it.
My question is, should they learn that from each other or maybe from their parents or their family? I'm worried about activist teachers. That's my issue. I don't really think
activist teachers are a problem. I think teachers being able to talk about gay people isn't an issue. It's a thing in society, and there's no reason that it shouldn't be allowed.
And then what are your thoughts about classrooms that don't have American flags but have pride flags? They've taken out the American flags.
Fuck it. This country's a piece of shit at this point, so why does it matter?
So you don't have any pride for USA?
No.
I have pride for LGBTQ, but not necessarily patriotism
patriotism for my country. This country doesn't care about us. I love my people, but maybe not my country.
W2 is like a W4.
So interesting. These two ladies are here in the United States. They're benefiting from the luxuries of the United States, the protection of the United States, right? And they hate this country. They said it was a piece of crap, right? And so, and funny enough, interestingly enough, they have no intentions. They didn't mention it here, so I can't say, but it didn't seem like they had any intentions of leaving this country. Most, if not, well, let me rephrase that. All of the people that I have interacted with that hate this country never leave this country. I've actually offered to pay for them to leave on one condition. You give up your U.S. citizenship and you never return. I've offered on my page to people who are, and I've had people who are anti-American and expressed anti-American sentiment. Great, fantastic. I will pay for a one-way ticket for any country of your choosing on the basis that you never return and you give up your U.S. citizenship. I've had 0 takers, and that was like about, I want to say 7 years ago. I've had 0 takers, right? If I work at a company and I'm miserable at this country, I'm going to leave. Likewise, if I was miserable in this country, I would leave. I would go to another country that fits my ideology, that I would be happy at, right? These two young ladies just literally said, this country is a piece of garbage. Yet, their community is fully protected. They have all the rights and all the benefits they could. Can we say that about other countries, specifically the Middle Eastern ones, where they're they have very strong Islamic traditional values there? Is there safety for the LGBT community there? I would question this young lady if other countries have the same type of protections that we have. Listen, just because somebody doesn't agree with you doesn't mean they hate you and doesn't mean that they want to see you dead, right? That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that they want harm to come upon you or anything of that nature. And that's what we have in this country. We simply have a disagreement of lifestyle. And listen, this is not something new. Being gay is not something new. It's something that's been here for a long time. The difference is that back in the day, you did you, no problem. Here, you're trying to do you're trying to influence children, you're trying to push it on people with the pronouns and so on and so forth, and you're impacting now other people's lives. That's where the issue comes in. If you want to do you do you, that's great. So, again, is there a connection between the stupid stuff that we're seeing and the lack of God, the lack of patriotism, and honestly the hatred towards this country? I think they're all connected. But what do you guys think? Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what your opinions are. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Look forward to hearing from your comments. Until next time, take care. God bless you. God bless America. Bye-bye.